Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been. Will be. How can there not? Just something about those blue skies, high banks, and high speed, all coming together in one perfect race. And it'll be here sooner than you think.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover. Great to be with you from our Tuscaloosa studios as we take a look back at some wins for the Alabama Crimson Tide, starting with gymnastics, a lot of basketball, and then some softball discussion as well coming up here today on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. We'll start to go through everything coming up on the show with our headlines thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us a smart board, so we'll start to go through everything coming up on the show today. I mentioned we'll start with gymnastics. This past Friday night was a great night for Alabama in a win against Auburn, as Alabama has never lost to Auburn in Coleman Coliseum in gymnastics. That streak continued thanks to, in large part, Luisa Blanco. She had a perfect 10 on the balance beam. She'll talk about that routine, plus what's ahead for Alabama gymnastics. Then we'll take a look back to Wednesday night's game against the Florida Gators with, first of all, our Courtside Cam highlights, and then our coach's checklist, hearing from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nate Oats. And then we will take a look back as well with a replay to Hey Coach from this past Monday night. First half hour of the show, we were joined by softball head coach Patrick Murphy. And tomorrow is opening day for the softball season, and the Crimson Tide home in Tuscaloosa for the first time in 13 years. Opening day is coming up here at home. So a lot of excitement with Murph, and we'll talk about that and everything softball coming up on the show today. Going through the rest of our headlines, again presented by RJ Young. Last Saturday, the Crimson Tide men's basketball team picked up a 10-point victory against LSU, and then Wednesday night back at home against the Florida Gators. Now this Saturday, it's the Crimson Tide taking on the Auburn Tigers at 1 p.m. Coming up down on the Plains, our radio coverage will start at noon as the Crimson Tide hope to win against Auburn and continue what has been an outstanding season for Alabama basketball. Then it was announced late last week that Nate Oats has signed a contract extension, not only a pay increase for Coach Oats and his staff, but a long-term deal keeping him in place in Tuscaloosa. And if you missed it earlier in the week, we have it on our social media accounts, him talking specifically about why he wanted to stay at Alabama and the commitment that Alabama has made to him. So certainly some great notes from Nate Oats about everything coming up for this Crimson Tide basketball program. On the women's side, Christy Curry's team keeps winning, a big win at Missouri, 76-69. It was a come-from-behind victory as Alabama trailed by 3 at halftime. Brittany Davis, a huge reason why, 33 points, a new career high for her, and Christy Curry hopes that she sets even a new career high coming up tonight when the Crimson Tide take on the Kentucky Wildcats in Lexington at 6 p.m. We'll have radio coverage on the network for that game. And then this weekend is really an Auburn weekend in terms of basketball. The women's team will be home against the Auburn Tigers at 4 p.m. on Sunday for the Power of Pink and Play for K game. Certainly hope to see you at Coleman Coliseum. You can come see Alabama women's basketball play and then get home for the football game, the Super Bowl, after that. So it's really a good Sunday coming up that will include Alabama against Auburn. We will get to see softball as the season will start tomorrow with Lehigh and Georgia Southern on the docket as Alabama is at home for the first time since 2010 to begin the season before next week heading to Clearwater for a great invitational against some of the top teams in the nation. But there you see the doubleheaders that are scheduled at Rhodes Stadium. Tickets available at RollTide.com. We get to see Lehigh and Georgia Southern coming up Friday and Saturday. And also we got some really good news for 2 outstanding players that we figure will be stalwarts of this great Alabama team coming up. Catcher Allie Shipman, she'll be working a lot with pitcher Montana Fouts. Preseason All-SEC selections. Can't wait to see them in action coming up this weekend. Some final notes around Crimson Tide athletics. The gymnastics team will be traveling to Texas to take place in the Metroplex Challenge. So a great event that Luisa Blanco in just a moment will explain how the scoring works for that, some of the different teams that'll be there. Look forward to seeing that in her home state. The baseball team is starting to round out preseason practice. Final week of preseason practice is available and open to the fans at Sewell Thomas Stadium. Then the tennis team will be home this weekend. So a great opportunity to catch the Crimson Tide men's and women's tennis. And also congratulations to Alabama signee Caitlin Schroeder for women's golf. She has been selected to the Augusta National Women's Amateur. That includes the final round at Augusta National Golf Club. Benedetta Moresco was in that last season representing Alabama, and now Caitlin Schroeder will get to do that this season. So best of luck to her, and we are all jealous she gets to play at Augusta National. Should be a really outstanding event. Speaking of outstanding events, it doesn't get any better than a perfect 10. That's what Luisa Blanco had on the balance beam this past Friday against Auburn. She joins us now to talk all things Alabama gymnastics. Luisa, Roll Tide, it's good to see you. What went into Friday night being a success for Alabama?
I think it was just taking it moment by moment. We didn't focus too much on the rivalry, but we did use it to our advantage. Having Coleman Coliseum packed on a Friday night is an indescribable feeling, and I'm really proud of my teammates for, taking it moment by moment and winning each of those moments.
And there's a lot of emotion, like you mentioned, the rivalry, a packed Coleman Coliseum, but it's also the power of pink as well, such powerful pre-meet presentation. What does that all mean to you, and how did you channel it into some positive results on the gymnastics floor?
Power of Pink, it almost is even more special because Sarah Patterson started it. So we know the legacy that we carry. It's a meet that's bigger than gymnastics, and it's something that we can all come together and celebrate the amazing women who are fighting the good fight every day. And bringing awareness to that special cause is something that I hold very special to my heart, and it's been my favorite meet ever since I've been a gymnast at Alabama.
Well, you've had some really good results in those meets, and then we go to this year against the Auburn Tigers to the balance beam where you get a perfect 10. What was your mindset going into the routine? Then how'd you execute once on the balance beam?
It was just trusting my training and trusting that my teammates set me up in the best way possible. Lily Hudson, I'm especially proud of her because she has become such a leader. Even though she is just a sophomore, she carries herself like a veteran, and I'm just so, so proud of her. She set me up so well again, just taking it one skill at a time and really honing in on just the little details. And I knew if I put it all one by one, piece by piece, that the outcome would, speak for itself. And I'm really, really proud of myself, but just proud of my girls too. Couldn't have do it without them.
Well, once you had the dismount and you, of course, stuck the landing, did you feel like in the moment it was a perfect 10? What were those moments waiting for the score to be posted like for you?
It's almost indescribable just because you're in there and you hear the noise, and it's almost like you could just feel it inside. And I was just so excited with my teammates. I don't really think at that point I was thinking about the score. I was just like, wow, this is a core memory that I'll have for the rest of my life.
Well, Alabama needed a good score from you as well on the floor exercise to make sure that the meet against Auburn was a win. What'd you like about how you were able to execute on the floor? Some very good scores there. Even one judge gave you a perfect 10 for that routine.
It was awesome. I think this routine, especially, it's my favorite piece of choreography that I've done in my time being here. And with that routine, I know I can just let loose and have fun. I had my girls again set me up in such an amazing way. Just week by week, we keep building, working on those landings, and showing how undeniably good we are. I think that's a really important piece as to why I did so well, is because I had amazing people to do it with me. And yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Well, you mentioned your choreography. What went into some of your choices there this season, as well as some of your music choices that really seem to fire up the crowd at Coleman?
Yeah, of course. My music, I want it to resonate with me and also tell a story. I like displaying my Hispanic heritage in any way that I can, and floor is definitely one of those events where I can do that the most, show off my personality. So it goes into a lot. I'm a very detail oriented, so finding those special beats that can blend in together and make the crowd feel something is always the end goal. But yeah, just finding little pieces here and there, working with our new graduate volunteer assistant coach, Kayana George. She's been amazing. She had the background at Cal and is an amazing choreographer and dancer. So she helped me along the way, and I think it worked out perfectly.
Well, of course, in Alabama, you grabbed a lot of headlines as a freshman. Same can be said for Lily Hudson, who we've talked about already. But how about this season with what Gabby Gladio has done so far for the Crimson Tide? What have you seen from her as she starts her career?
I'm so excited for Gabby. She is a rock star, and she has that special fire that it really just trickles on to the rest of the team. She carries herself like a veteran. She competes like a veteran. And I think that just goes to show of this is just the beginning for her. She's going to be an amazing gymnast, and I can't wait for her the rest of her career here at Alabama.
Well, the fans enjoyed getting to see you here in Tuscaloosa at Coleman Coliseum this past Friday, but now you get to make a road trip going to the Metroplex. Really exciting event coming up this Saturday. Well, what can you tell our fans about what they can expect in that event?
So Metroplex Challenge is really interesting in the sense that there'll be four competing teams at the same time. So it's a little bit more faster pace, but it sets us up really well for that postseason competition. It mimics it. So I really like the Metroplex Challenge just because I will be back home in Dallas, which is amazing just to have my family there. A little bit of a confidence factor, if you will. And again, it sets us up really well so that we can be prepared for postseason meets that are coming up in the future.
When you say you got family coming, how many are we talking about? Is it over 20, around 50? How many friends and family are going to be on the pass list for you?
It's definitely a lot. I like to joke and say like the whole city's coming, but I do come from a very big, loud, passionate, Latino family. And I love that. I love that I can actually hear them when I'm down on the floor competing. So it warms my heart. And, they're my why. Every time I'm having a hard day, I always go back to my family. They sacrifice everything for me. So having the opportunity for them to all be together at once and have the opportunity to see me compete, it's the best thing ever.
Well, a great strong bond that you have with your family, but how about with your fellow teammates and then maybe with some of the chemistry as well this year? How has spike ball been part of the fun you guys have had this year?
We are a competitive bunch, I'll tell you that. We start every day before practice playing spike ball. And I will say I'm not the best player, but it's just so fun to just start the day lighthearted and just, I don't know, build that team chemistry even more. It has been a little bit difficult just because walking into a completely new year, completely new staff, it can be daunting, but despite that, I think this is the best group of people to do it with. And I'm so grateful and I'm so happy that I'm in the position where even though I'm a senior, I'm learning something new every day, and I'm learning it with the best people. So
And what have you enjoyed most about getting to know this new coaching staff led by your head coach, Ashley Johnston?
Ashley's taught me so much, and I'm very grateful. She's a very calm presence in my life. And I think that grounds me in so many more ways than just gymnastics. I've learned so much in the past 6 months that I have, I think, in my entire life. And I'm just so proud to have a new perspective being brought that will carry me further than the competition floor. So I'm very, very grateful to have the coaching staff that I have.
Well, we're excited to see what's coming up at the Metroplex Challenge. Obviously, Alabama against LSU will be grabbing a lot of headlines coming up at the end of the month. Just, Luisa, as we let you go here, what's your focus going to be on these next few events as you keep trying to keep this positive momentum going from what we saw against Auburn?
Of course, just doing what we know how to do. We know that peaking right now isn't necessarily the best thing, but it's just building, week by week by week, and we are demonstrating that. But even as we go away to Metroplex, it's just making the arena feel like home. We compete our best when we're having fun and when we're with each other. So it's just taking it moment by moment and again, winning each moment.
Luisa Blanco, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great trip to Texas. We look forward to seeing you back at home at Coleman Coliseum soon, but all the best with what's coming up for Alabama gymnastics. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Thank you so much.
Crimson Drive is driven by NASCAR, and there's nothing quite like Sweet Home Talladega. Don't miss out on NASCAR's much-anticipated return to Talladega Superspeedway on April 23rd. Experience the excitement of four-wide racing and acres of some of the best camping NASCAR has to offer. Join the best party in sports and lock in your tickets today at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. Great to hear from Luisa Blanco, and best of luck getting to go back to her home state and compete for Alabama in the Metroplex Challenge. Wednesday night, speaking of home, the Alabama Crimson Tide men's basketball team was back at Coleman Coliseum against the Florida Gators. We'll start by taking a look back at that ball game with our Courtside Cam highlights, and then that'll be followed by post-game comments from head coach Nate Oats with Coach's Checklist.
Sears front court for Bama to Clowney, right of the circle, Bediako, right corner to Bradley. Jade looking, finds Miller, right of the circle, all alone, three, bottom. Great start. A bank first three-pointer to get us going. 7-2. Bama with the ball in the lead. Sears, top of the arc, three. Good Lord, is this team hot to get things going. Bediako, top of the arc. Sears, left alone, 3-5. Quinterly with it front court, driving right, got cut off, left alone, shoots a three, hits a three. Nice to see JQ directing traffic, backs it out to the timeline, gives it off to Clowney. He'll shoot a three, right wing, bottom.
When Noah Clowney starts to knock down threes consistently, look out.
Tide gets it front court to Clowney. Looking backdoor, Bradley, the pump fake, the kick. Griffin, corner three ball back. So quick.
I take two. When you can get a three, Jaden Bradley at point-blank range kicks it out to a wide-open Rylan Griffin. And right now, the Crimson Tide is rolling.
Far side, Miller, three, bottom. Found him in a hurry. Brandon being slowed down a bit by Richard, gets it front court, takes it on the left wing. Now he'll let fly, and Barry, a three in the face of Castleton. And it's 50-21 Bama on another bank first three for the best player in America. Now to Burnett at 4, to Sears at 3. He'll lay it up and get it to go at 1. The half ends, and what a half for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Bama with the ball, it's Quinterly right of the circle. JQ now with it on the wing, takes it to the top of the arc. Let's fly from 3, bottom. Tide with the ball, the lob to Pringle, and he caught it. He elevated, he looked down at it, and then he threw it home. Mercy, did he get airborne?
That was not a great pass. It almost went over the goal, but Nick Pringle just kept rising, caught it, and threw it down.
Gives it off to Quinterly. 14 on the shot clock. JQ working to the center of the floor, gives it back to Miller. Catch and shoot three, bottom. Now they've just ticked him off, and it's maybe going to get a little ugly now. Florida, this is a three, give it off to Castleton, blocked by Bediako, and now Bama runs the other way with numbers. Miller, the flush.
Defense leading to offense. JQ with another beautiful pass to Brandon Miller. Up high and throws it down.
Miller to Bediako, the flush, and he is fouled. Bradley kicking it out near side. Sears, three ball, bottom. Miller, liftoff. Five slam Alabama. Bradley circling away from trouble. Gives it off to Namari Burnett. Spinning, getting into the lane. Takes it to the corner. Left alone, three ball, bottom. Pringle picks up the dribble, hands it off to Quinterly. He'll throw the lob, and Pringle will finish it off. Beautiful pass. And then poked away by Hurd. Back into his hands. Three ball, bottom. And away to Lady Hurd. You earned that one. Tide will walk it up. Adam Cottrell will dribble it out. Bama will not take a final shot. And the Tide has taken a bunch, made a bunch, and hence we sing the song. 97-69, your final score. Bama wins another one big.
It's a lot better. That was the way we wanted to come out. Thought our stars did a great job starting the game out. First half was great, but we played a lot more like we're accustomed to playing. That's a good team too. I mean, they look at their last two games. I mean, they've been playing their best basketball right now. So, you know, that's one of the teams that's going to finish in the top half of the league would be my guess. So to do that against them, obviously Castleton had quite a game. You know, we would have liked to have done a better job on him. He's a really good player. Obviously, did think we did a good job taking away their threes for the most part. They hit that late one, kind of on a kick down that we gave up. But you know, in the first half they didn't hit one. So if you're going to double, they do have shooters. They take a decent amount of threes. We didn't want to give up a bunch of threes. That's the way to get upset. So our game plan was not to double him when Charles was in there. We probably needed to double a little more when Charles wasn't in there. But, you know, other than our defense on Castleton, I thought our effort tonight was pretty good. You know what? We weren't happy with our game at LSU. I think guys understood we got to play better. That wasn't who we were, and our point was 2 out of our last 3 games. We haven't played hard enough, well enough. It was our 2 lowest, that game and Oklahoma game were our 2 lowest blue-collar totals. Made a big point emphasis on getting that back up. It was almost 90 tonight. They only had 60, so I thought we played a lot harder. It just, let's get back to being who we are, who we know ourselves to be. And that's us. I thought Jaden Bradley had a great start to the game. You know, offensively, he's getting downhill, making plays. You know, we shot it well. That always helps. But, you know, we out-rebounded them. I mean, I just think when we're locked in and our efforts there, we're a really good team. And guys understand that nobody was happy with that game at LSU. We just it's good to get a win when you don't play well, but we need to play well. So we came out with the mindset we need to play well. And this is a good team. If you don't play well, they beat you. So we did play well. Yeah, he's been playing. He's getting back into his groove. I mean, me and him talked about it. He's looked great in practice. Best I've seen him since last year. I thought tonight he was great. I mean, when he shoots the ball like he's been shooting it, he's tough to guard because you can't sag him. You got to get up on him, and then he can get by anybody. If you have to play him like as tight as you have to play him when he's shooting it like this, he can get in the lane. And once he gets in the lane, I think he's one of the best passers, if not the best in the country. So he's finding people. He's getting assists. He's looking to find, guys when he's in the lane. So it's nice to be able to have him. And, him and Jaden Bradley both had 5 assists tonight. Between the 2 of them, their 2 main point guards with 10 assists and only 1 turnover. So really good point guard play. Obviously helps your offense flow smooth, go along with the shooting we had. So I was happy for him and Jaden both.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be. And it'll be here sooner than you think.
From one head coach of the Crimson Tide to another, Nate Oats to Patrick Murphy, and that was the combination we had on Monday night at Tom Howard's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa for Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. We had a huge crowd on hand, so many of them there to see Patrick Murphy and talk about this Alabama softball team that starts the season coming up on Friday at home against Lehigh and Georgia Southern. Here's a look back to Hey Coach with our replay of our conversation with Patrick Murphy.
You get ready for a new season to start. Just how exciting is this week knowing your first game is coming up on Friday?
Oh, it's awesome, and I got about 7 players right here in front of us that came tonight. So they've been working really, really hard. We had a great scrimmage yesterday, the last scrimmage of the preseason. Saturday was offensive driven, and yesterday was pitching driven. So our new pitching coach was extremely happy with all 4 pitchers yesterday. They were very, very good. It was a 3-2 game, and most of the scrimmages have been very, very competitive. So that part of it's been fun. And I think we talked last fall that this is a very, very athletic team, and there's a bunch of kids that can play anywhere, any position. And, one of the things that we've said in the history of our program is if you were to walk into a game, you shouldn't be able to pick out a freshman by the way she plays. And on Saturday, I put all 5 freshmen on the one team, and they were winning 8-3 at one point. Unfortunately, they lost 11-8. But there's no way that you would have came to the scrimmage Saturday and said, that's the 5 freshmen. So I was really proud of them in that game. We have 4 fifth-year seniors. I think 2 of them are here tonight. The team calls them the grandmothers. So we got a lot of experience from that class. So Montana, Allie Shipman, Ashley Prangy, and Faith Hensley, they've seen anything and everything in college softball, from conference play to regional play to World Series. They've been through it all. But the experience that they're giving to everybody else, I think, is the most valuable thing.
What does Faith Hensley bring to this team?
She is a throws right, hits left. She's going to be a green light girl, which means she can steal at any time. She can play any 3 outfield positions. She was obviously last year, she had a heck of a good year at Ball State. She was the MAC Player of the Year, hit .447 with 17 home runs and I don't know how many RBIs, a ton. One of the cool things about that was the Kent State coach is a buddy of mine, and after she had committed to us, I called him and said, tell me how you guys played her. And he goes, we could not figure out how to get her out, number one. and she was the best hitter in our league. So, and he's somebody that I really trust, and it was cool to hear that opinion of an opposing coach.
A lot of times when we're talking the week of the season opener, you're getting ready to head on a plane or a long bus trip a few days later, but this year you get to start at home with the leadoff classic against Lehigh and Georgia Southern. You got to be excited about starting the season at home for the first time since 2010.
Yeah, I had lunch with Chad Haney today, and he was the radio voice of Alabama softball, and he remembered who we played. I couldn't believe it. But it just so happened that, the way the schedule worked, we were going to go to Clearwater, like you just said, and then we owed University of Texas a trip. So I didn't really want to take 3 tournaments away from home. So we decided to play at home. And one of the schools actually had to drop out in October. So it was supposed to be a 4-team tournament, but we ended up with Lehigh, who won the Patriot League last year. They've been in the in-state tournament quite a few times the last 10 years. Their coach is a legend up there and a really, really good guy. So he's been wanting to come down to Tuscaloosa for years. And then Georgia Southern, Sharon Perkins is their head coach, and she had been at Georgia Tech and really got them to a super regional, and we're doing great things. So she's kind of rebuilding that program, and they're in a really good conference for softball, the Sun Belt, and they usually take 2 or 3 teams to the in-state tournament. So I know that both of them will be well coached coming in here.
Single game tickets went on sale today, and already some games this season already sold out. The fan excitement to be back at Rhodes Stadium really seems to be off the charts.
It's unbelievable, and I got a bunch of my staff here tonight, and Jaden Spitzer came in this morning, our director of ops, and said that she was hoping to do an alumni weekend for the Auburn series, and we have Jordan Patterson in the house, a national champion, and I think Ryan I. Murray might be back there, a national champion, and Jaden obviously is a national champion. But Jaden said the Saturday of Auburn is already sold out, and the Friday was close to it. So I can't thank the fans enough. We sold 3,200 season tickets before even a pitch is thrown, and now we've had close to 2 sellouts already, even before we play. So it's just unbelievable, the amount of support. And what I would encourage everybody to do, if they know that they want to come to a game, buy their tickets now before it's too late, because I think LSU was close, Arkansas was close, and all 3 games of the Auburn series. And I believe the Saturday of Auburn is a day.
And then early test in week 2 of the season, you're going down to Clearwater for the TaxStack Clearwater Invitational. And once again, that is one of the best fields you will find in a softball tournament.
Yeah, that was, you can tell the organizer, I don't want to play X, but you don't say, you can pick 2 or 3, but then whatever you get is who you're going to play. So we have Duke, who was in a super regional, UCLA World Series, Florida State played in the championship of the regional at their place, Indiana, an up-and-coming team in the Big Ten, and Central Florida, who was also in a super regional. So 5 games over 4 days, and like you said, I think it's probably the best overall non-conference tournament this side of the Mississippi for sure. And every game's going to be either TV or online, which is really cool. The Florida State game on Sunday night is ESPN prime time, so that's a big game for us.
So with that in mind, what do you need to find out this weekend that's going to help you the most in Clearwater?
I think the biggest thing is getting the freshmen on the field for the first time and getting those jitters out. And we have 8 newbies. We have 3 transfers and 5 freshmen. So the goal for this weekend is to get all 17 hitters an at-bat, all 4 pitchers, time on the mound, and then we'll have 2 days of practice before we have to go to Clearwater. So just to get some game experience for the new kids, especially at home. That's a good part of playing at home for the first time. You don't have to get on a plane or a bus. They get to see the home crowd instead of getting the opposite on an away game.
Well, you can tell Patrick Murphy is excited, and so are we. Alabama softball starts tomorrow, and that's just part of a really busy weekend that we have coming up for you on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. It is time for the Wickles Weekend Update, brought to you by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. We have the relish here with us. So many great products. Check out at WicklesPickles.com. Let's take a look at what's coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network this weekend. Well, a busy weekend starts tonight as Alabama women's basketball is on the road at Kentucky. Our radio coverage will start at 5 until 6 across our radio network. Then the softball team, as I mentioned, starting the season tomorrow, 3:30 p.m. against Lehigh, 6 p.m. against Georgia Southern. Full coverage available on the radio network as well as here on the CTSN social media platforms. Then on Saturday, it's the men's basketball team taking on the Auburn Tigers. Our radio airtime will be noon for that ball game. And in the midst of that, softball finishing out play 1:30 against Georgia Southern and 4 p.m. against Lehigh to round out the leadoff classic. Then coming up on Sunday, it will be Tide TV This Week and, of course, the Nate Oats Show. But at 4 p.m., we certainly hope you can join us at Coleman Coliseum for women's basketball against the Auburn Tigers as Alabama looks to extend its winning streak there and continue playing strong basketball and SEC play. And the next Monday night, we'll be back at Baumhower's Victory Grill for another edition of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance. Crimson Drive is driven by NASCAR, and there's nothing quite like Sweet Home Talladega. Don't miss out on NASCAR's much-anticipated return to Talladega Superspeedway on April 23rd. Experience the excitement of four-wide racing and acres of some of the best camping NASCAR has to offer. Join the best party in sports and lock in your tickets today at TalladegaSuperspeedway.com. This wraps up a very busy edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. Certainly want to thank Luisa Blanco at the top of the show for joining us. Best of luck to her in the Metroplex Challenge coming up this week. Thanks as well to Patrick Murphy for his time on Hey Coach and then everything you saw from the Florida game this past Wednesday inside Coleman Coliseum. Thanks as well to Ethan Carabin, our producer, for putting this show together. Thanks to all of you for watching. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying so long on this Thursday afternoon. Now let's enjoy some Alabama athletics and good luck to softball starting tomorrow here in Tuscaloosa. Roll Tide, everyone.